Hey you guys, it's Peter, and welcome to Peterisms, where I tell stories from my life and little personal moments that have happened to me and things that I've learned about. And it's really kind of like me walking through the scrapbook of my life. And I have fallen in love with making videos for this channel, and you guys have been so receptive to it. The messages that I have gotten are like incredible. I've received so many comments from people that are like, oh my god, this is my new favorite channel, thank you. And you have no idea what that means to me, you know? It's one thing to flip fans and do drama videos and talk about, all these people, and if a certain name is in a title, people are definitely going to go look at it. It's another thing to tell a personal story about your life, a heartfelt, true story about your life, and have people, respond to it in some kind of way to, either tear up and cry or feel an emotion, or feel a positive emotion, like be happy about it or laugh. And to be able to do that with moments of my life feels really good, and I really enjoy it. And so I'm trying to find a lot of different kinds of stories to tell, and to be honest with you, I'm reading a lot of old blog posts on here just because it's really fun for me to go back and find ones that I wrote that I don't remember. And my book, The Before, Now, and After Then, came out in July of 2014, and it is a fictional work about a young man whose identical twin brother dies in a car accident. That happens literally like in the first couple pages, so I'm not ruining it for you. And he's already out and gay, but it's really about like his coming of age story and his first love and all this kind of stuff. And people ask me all the time, like, what did you base it on? And so I thought today I would talk about my first crush that I ever had. And it's so interesting, the questions that I get regularly, over and over and over. I like a lot of times people will ask me, how did you know when you were an alcoholic and or an addict? Well, I get lots of addiction questions, which it means so much to me. But the other question I get a lot from people, and interestingly enough, college men that are like athletes that aren't out of the closet and they want to be, but they're scared to be. I get tons of messages from college athletes that are like, Peter, I really look up to you. What should I do? Blah, 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 whatever. Thank you so much for your videos. And then I also get a lot of, and high school kids too do contact me, but I also get a lot of, emails from adult men that, have recently come out and they're really struggling and they don't know how to meet people and on and on and on. And one of the questions they always ask me is, when did you first know that you were gay? And I think it's kind of like an assimilation thing. It's like, well, I may not have come out until I was 50, or I may have come out when I was like 22, and I came out when I was 18, and it was very deliberate. I had known for a while, but I wanted to come out on my 18th birthday. I was not going to come out in high school. That just was not heard of in 1990. And I was like, please hold a second. Pee-pee wants to be up in the video. Don't you, peeps? He said, yeah, I just had my dinner. It was pretty good. But anyway, I wanted to wait until I was out of high school, and I had two things. Was that number one, I wanted my mom and my dad and my stepmom to hear about it before they heard it on the street. I was going out to a lot of gay bars, and I wanted them to hear about it before my hairstylist said something to my stepmom, because we went to the same hairstylist. I just had scripted all these ideas in my head. And the other thing was that I wanted to sit down and talk to my friends about it, of which none of them were fazed. When I look back on the history of my life, I don't know that there was ever a moment that I didn't know that I was gay, if that makes sense. What I didn't know was that I could live out and have a successful, happy life. I've said this a lot in my videos. I realistically never imagined that I could one day live in a house with my husband and our dogs, and our families would get along and we could go to restaurants together. And, I thought I would have to honestly get married to a woman, have kids, and do this thing. And there was a part of that was appealing to me because that's what everybody else did, and that was normal, and I wanted to be normal. I didn't like feeling different. I have also never really been, I've never hated myself for being gay. I think I've always realized that it's something I couldn't do much about. My dad is a surgeon. He very much believes that we're born with being gay or not being gay. And, I think having that background from my father really, really helped a lot in my acceptance of my, own being gay. And I'm gay. I just want to clarify that, because I think that there are so many spectrums out there right now, which I think we need to educate, understand, and embrace. The whole spectrum of, I won't even list them because I'll miss some letters out there. But, I don't know, it was like 6 months ago when a fellow YouTuber was talking about being asexual, and I really didn't understand asexuality. And I sent her a message and I said, I hope this does not come across as rude, but I really do not understand asexuality. And, you know, like, I think that people think that just because we're lumped together in these letters that we understand each other. And I think we have to remain teachable and ask if we don't understand. And I said, can you please explain to me what it means? And we had this amazing conversation where she explained to me what asexuality was and pansexuality and all this kind of stuff, and, you know, different, you know, binary gender stuff. And I didn't understand any of that, and now I do, because I asked the questions and I chose to not remain ignorant. Back when I was in high school, okay, you know, like, what you did was I came out as bi first for like a month. I was like, I'm bisexual. And I remember when I told my mom that, and she was like, Peter, you know, and my mom said to me, she said, I'm really afraid for you. And I thought she assumed that I would, like, become HIV positive and, you know, get AIDS and whatever, because I came out at the tail end of the world of AIDS. Like, you know, the late 80s was like, that's all you heard about, and especially within the gay community. And, you know, I said to my mom, I said, I'm not worried about that, you know, I'll practice safer sex practices and things like that. And she's like, I'm not talking about that. Like, if that happens, we'll deal with that. That's not something to be ashamed of. And she said, I'm afraid of how society will treat you. Society is not kind to gay people. You have to understand that my mother was extremely liberal, okay? She had many, many gay friends. You know, she had marched in, you know, civil rights movements for years, and she knew the score. I mean, she wasn't trying to, like, butter it up. She was like, people are going to be a shit to you. And I looked at her and I said, do you realize how long people have been cruel to me, Mom? And she said, and I'll never forget this, she said, you tell me who and I'll call their parents. I was like, I love you, Mom. You know, so anyway, I came out to my parents, I came out to my friends, and I had a really, really easy coming out process. And I remember, I love Zach Garcia and his husband, Alistair, and he's one of my favorite YouTubers out there. I keep on messing with my hair, but it's driving me crazy. His channel is The Adventures of Zach and B. And when he and I became friends, he said to me, you need to do a coming out video. And I said, why? Nobody will care. I'm older, you know, whatever. And he goes, no, he said, you need to do one, because that's what helped me come out, was seeing all the videos, and other people are watching them, and you don't know that you might even affect just one person. And I was like, okay, you know, that's true. I think I've done 2 of them now, you know? And whenever a new gay YouTuber contacts me, I always tell them, Zach told me you need to do a coming out video. You need to do a coming out video, okay? Because you need to help other young men, older men, younger women, whatever. You need to help anybody come out that's not feeling comfortable in their own skin and realize that they're not alone. And there's going to be somebody out there that's going to be like, I know my parents are going to be accepting of me. My mom's a liberal. My friends are going to be cool with it. I still don't want to come out. I'm scared. Because I knew all that, and I was still terrified to come out and be scared to come out, because I didn't know what that would be like, you know? I didn't know any out gay people. I found my high school journal years ago. I think I burned it. I don't know why. I think I just threw it in the fireplace one night. But we had met some friends, and we went to, like, Denny's, and I had met this guy that ended up being a friend of mine for a long time. I ended up actually... Not a good story. I actually got my fake ID off of his information, but I remember meeting him, and we, like, a bunch of us went out to dinner at Steak and Shake or Denny's or one of those places, and I wrote in my journal that night, I finally met somebody that's gay and out. Like, that was in my journal, and that was, like, such a paramount moment to me, you know? I had never, like, met somebody, like, that was my age, a contemporary. Like, my mom had friends, you know, that wore khakis and danced to, you know, like, Thelma Houston and Cher in the living room, but, like, I didn't know, you know, like, contemporaries of mine that were my age. And, you know, I look back and I really do think that a lot of my drinking and drugging had a lot to do with my lack of acceptance of my being gay. And, you know, I think it was easy for me to shout it from the rooftops when I was drunk as a skunk, but I don't know that I was okay with it a lot. And at that time, you know, I kind of forced it in a lot of people's faces. And what I've learned is that doesn't work for me. I allow people to get to know me first, you know, and then I talk to them about those things. And what they realize is I'm really no different than anybody else except for who I love. And I think that that's a really important thing. So, you know, I would like to share with you this story about my first crush, because it is about love, and it's kind of what started it all for me. Before I get into it, I do want to say this, though, because I started it and I kind of stopped. I don't know that I ever know a time that I wasn't gay. I just didn't know that was the word you used with it. And in fact, I wrote a piece, and it, like, got a lot of attention at one point, I don't know why, about me being bullied in first grade. And they all said with the homogenous milk, they said, don't drink the milk. I've talked about this a lot on all my channels. Don't drink the milk, because if you do, you'll become gay like Peter, like, because homo. And And then they looked at me and they said, you can drink the milk because you're already gay. From that moment on, something changed. And I was never accepted. I was never invited to birthday parties. I was never asked to sleep over at anybody's house. I was never sat next to at cafeteria. I was never sat next to in class. All of my friends became girls. You know, a lot of times people say, gay guys are always friends with girls. Yes, women and girls are the only ones that will accept us a lot of times. That's the truth, okay? You know, and it's because I think in junior high, elementary school, and high school, the last thing you want to be, if you're male and masculine, is gay. So to be best friends with somebody that's gay is looked down upon. If you are heterosexual and you are in high school, middle school, or elementary school, and you have a really close friend that's gay, lesbian, whatever, out, thank you for being courageous and being our ally. That's a really tough position. And I look at those people now that I had a couple, not several, but I had a couple male friends that were gay and or that were straight and were my friend all through it and didn't give a shit what other people said. And I look at that and I think, you know, they took a lot of flack, and thank you for just standing there and being my friend. It means more to me now than I ever had any idea it did at the time. I felt very cheated looking back, that they put something on me that I didn't even know about myself at the time, and I felt like it was very unfair, that I didn't even know the words to describe what I was feeling inside, and it wasn't sexual, definitely not in first grade, and it wasn't homoerotic, it was love. It was butterflies in my stomach when I got a crush on somebody, and it happened a lot, and but the first really big one that it happened to me is this one. So let me share the story with you called My First Crush. Several weeks ago, one of my friends on Facebook suggested I write a post about my high school crush. The timing was interesting because at that same time the suggestion was made, I was just finishing up the final touches of my first book, The Before, Now, and After Then, before it went to print. The reason the coincidence was so strange was because the entire idea for my first novel came solely from 5 minutes I spent with my high school crush almost exactly 25 years ago. Last fall, I wrote a post on my old blog titled The Gay Boy, in which I described, I'll read this sometime too, so don't go read it, I'll pull it on here, in which I described my feelings about being seen as gay in high school. Mind you, this was 1987 to 1990, and at that time it was not highly suggestive for anyone to come out in high school. Quite frankly, if my days were already difficult enough from being bullied and teased, they would have been completely intolerable if I had come out. One of my best friends from high school read the post and suggested that I write a modernized version of my high school experience. This sparked an interest to really discover who I was during those adolescent years and how far I've come since then. I thought about the gorgeous girlfriend I had, who later came out as a lesbian. I thought about the hot boys I probably should have been looking at, but was too afraid, because then they would know that I was gay. I thought about how, unlike my straight counterparts, I was unable to date, fall in love, make out, go to school dances, have sex, and find any kind of real relationship in high school because of my fear of coming out. I was cheated out of those experiences. If you went to high school with me, you're probably dying to know who it was that entertained my dreams and kept me up at night, so I'll get to it. You won't be very excited, and most of you probably won't even know who I'm talking about. Sometimes I wonder if he even existed at all or was ever real. During my junior year in high school, I wrecked my car on an icy road right before Christmas. Actually, tomorrow, it was the 14th. When we returned back to school after the break, I was forced to get rides from my parents. Every day I would stand outside, my back against a brick wall. My nose is driving me crazy, you guys. I'm sorry. I trimmed my beard, and it's like whenever I do, it always drives me crazy. Every day I would stand outside, my back against a brick wall in front of our school, waiting for my mom or dad. A few days into our new semester, I looked over and saw this guy standing about 5 feet away from me. I had never seen him before. He was tan and had crazy hair and was obviously a skater by the look of his clothes. He carried a green backpack and smiled at me with big pouty lips and dark eyes shaded by Ray-Bans long before they were cool. He was cool. He was beautiful. He was mysterious, and I wanted to know everything about him. I would stay awake late at night thinking about him and wondering what he was doing. I wondered what his bedroom looked like, what his family was like, what music he listened to, what his favorite books were, and where he was from. Most of all, I wondered if he wondered about me. I finally broke down and told my best friend, Shell, about my obsession. I was careful, even to my best friend, to not say I had a crush on him. Of course not. I just wondered about him, which became an inside joke. She did a little investigating and found out his name, Rusty, and that he had moved to our school during the Christmas break. But that was all of the information she knew. He remained a mystery. Every day for the next month, we stood next to each other, leaning against that wall, waiting for our rides. Finally, one day, he walked over to me and took off his sunglasses. "Cool hair," he said. You too, I answered, nervous as hell that I was actually talking to my dream guy. He reached into his pocket and took out a piece of tea-berry gum, handing me a piece. I took the wrapper off carefully, placing it gently in my pocket before putting the gum into my mouth. Thanks, I said. He smiled, more of a sly smirk, and put his sunglasses back on. A week later, I got a new car and didn't need to stand out front and wait for a ride. I searched for him everywhere in the halls of my school, and he was nowhere to be found. Finally, a month later, I saw him across the gym at a school assembly. We stared at each other the whole time, and I desperately wanted to talk to him. I tried to figure out a way to find out if he was gay or if he liked me, but there was no way to do that without outing myself. My fear of dealing with my own sexuality kept me stuck. I couldn't possibly pursue anything with a guy when I couldn't even admit I liked guys. That was my truth. A week later, my friend came back with new news. My crush had moved away. I would never see him again. I never got a chance to talk to him again, and I never got to find out what had happened or what might have happened if I would have had the balls to take a risk. It's funny to look back and realize that everyone's already knew I was gay anyway, so my coming out wouldn't have been a surprise, and I wish I could have found the confidence to be myself. But being in the closet, missing out on so many opportunities, has allowed me to love being gay and be proud of myself today. Thankfully, I came out at 18, so I didn't miss out on too many experiences. 25 years later, I still wonder about him. In fact, I still have the gum wrapper tucked away in a box with all of my high school pictures, notes, and memories. I know I'll never see him again and probably wouldn't even recognize him if I did. But my 5 minutes with him made me start to wonder what would have happened if I had talked to him. What would have been the end of the story? I guess you'll have to read my book to find out. I still do wonder about him though. I'm like, what happened to Rusty? Oh my God, he had this like spiky hair. He was so cute. Anyway, I always hear that Katy Perry song, The One That Got Away, and I always think about him. Isn't that crazy? Like, do you ever hear a song and you think about it and then, yeah. So Rusty, if you're out there, you know, I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.